Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we are looking at the 12 Mahajan series, and we know that Mahajan means great soul, and we are now at our 6th Mahajan, who is Svayambhuva Manu. So let's take a look at who this personality is. So Svayambhuva Manu is the son of Lord Brahma. So he and his wife Shatarupa were born from the mind of Lord Brahma. So actually Svayambhuva Manu is the first human being who was born, and his wife Shatarupa the first ever woman who was born. And they were both from the mind of Lord Brahma. So Manu, Prabhupada says, is a name, and because mankind is born, therefore they are called Manushya. So we are all descendants. All the members of human society are descendants of the original human Manu. So he is the original father of human society, the father of mankind. It is mentioned in the Sanskrit literature. So we are the son of Manu, basically. Manu is so it's a post. It's more of a post. So Brahma was the original living being, we know, and he created many sons, so they could then go on to create more sons, so to give rise to progeny, to populate the different planets in the material universe. So in this way, the population of the whole universe has increased. And in one day of Brahma, it is mentioned in the scriptures that there are 14 Manus. And the present Manu under whom we're now living within this universe is the son of the sun god Vivasvan, and it's so the Manu we are under at the minute is Vaivasvata Manu, and he is the son of the sun god Vivasvan, hence the name Vaivasvata. And so in one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus that are manifest. Because we know that Lord Brahma has a very long lifespan. He actually lives 4,320,000,000 years, human years. So, and we know that Lord Brahma lives for 100 years. So if 14 Manus appear in one day of Brahma, then it's calculated that 504,000 Manus will manifest during Lord Brahma's whole lifetime. And each Manu is called by a different name. So we can see here the 14 Manus, the names are there. The first Manu is called Svayambhuva Manu. He's the son of Lord Brahma. The second Manu, Sisha, is the son of the predominating deity of fire. The third Manu is called Uttama, and he's the son of King Priyavrata. The fourth Manu, Damasa, is the brother of Uttama. The fifth Manu, called Revata, he's called Revata, and the sixth Manu is called Chakshusha, who is the brother of Tamasa. Chakshusha is the son of Chakshu. The seventh Manu is called Vaivasvata Manu, so that's the seventh Manu that we have predominating at the minute. He's the son of the sun god we mentioned. The eighth Manu is called Swavarni, and he is a son of the sun god as well, born of a wife named Chaya. The ninth Manu, we were talking about, he is Daksha Savarni. He is the son of Varuna. Yes, he's the son of Varuna. Varuna, we know, is the demigod of the aquatics, Varunadev. The 10th Manu, Brahma Savarni, is the son of Upashloka, and there are other four Manus: Rudra Savarni, Dharma Savarni, Deva Savarni, and Indra Savarni. And we just said that the Manus, they're the fathers of mankind. They are assisted by other personalities, other Prajapatis, who have also originated in Lord Brahma. So they manage the whole planetary system, all the Manus of Bhumandala, and they're responsible for disseminating religious principles. So the Manus, Svayambhuva Manu, for example, is a Mahajan. He's a devotee of the Lord, and he therefore gives us instructions, and if we follow his instructions, we can be successful. So in the Bhagavad Gita 4.1, for example, Krishna, we can see here, Krishna gives this transcendental knowledge to the sun god, Vivasvan. And Vivasvan narrates this, passes on this transcendental information to his son, who then has become the current Manu, Vaivasvata Manu. So he then, Vaivasvata Manu, in turn, he transmitted it to Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku, we know, one of his sons who became the ruler of the earth. So Vivasvan spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Manu at the beginning of his rule. And that's, according to the scriptures, it's 120,400,000 years ago. And according to Prabhupada, Manu transmitted it to Ikshvaku about 2 million years ago. So Krishna, in the verse 4.1, he says, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. So this is the disciplic succession, and the knowledge gets revealed. So Manu is therefore a Mahajan. Coming back to the Manus now, so the reigns of the different Manus are called Manvantara. So basically the Manu will reign over for a period of time, and this period of time is called a Manvantara. So the first Manvantara coincides with the advent of Svayambhuva Manu, and then in the next Manvantara it is followed by Swarosisha Manu, and so on. And at the end of each Manvantara, so at the end of the time ruled by one Manu, there is a partial devastation. So devastation in which partial devastation, so the lower planetary systems get destroyed, in which all the demigods as well as the great sages, they are replaced by a new team at the beginning of the reign of the next Manu. Similarly, the Manus, they're responsible for establishing religious principles at the end of age Kali Yuga. So Srila Prabhupada explains in Srimad Bhagavatam 8.14 that Manu's duty is to re-establish the system of religion. Manu's sons execute Manu's order, and thus the entire universe is maintained by Manu and his descendants. So the Indras, they are rulers of the heavenly planets, and they're assisted by the demigods. They rule, the Indras, They rule the heavenly planets. So we see here the lineage. So you can see Svayambhuva Manu, a red arrow means married to Shatarupa, and they had children. And we can see the children, we can see them here. So Priyamvrata, Uttanapad, Akuti, Prasuti, Devahuti. And so we can see the great devotee Dhruva, who is a son of Uttanapad. We know he's an exalted devotee, Dhruva. And we can see Sati here, whose father was Daksha, and who married Prasuti. So Manu is Svayambhuva Manu. He's great teacher. The Manu Smriti was written by Svayambhuva Manu, who heard it directly from his father, Lord Brahma. And so Manu gives us rules and regulations to guide us so we can go back to Godhead. So the Manu Samhita, or the Manu Smriti, is a standard law book for humanity, and every human being is advised to follow this great book of social knowledge. It directs all activities towards the transcendental service of the Lord. So Manu was an exemplary devotee. So let's hear a little bit from the Srimad Bhagavatam about the life of Manu. Manu lived in a palace, a great palace. He was the emperor of the world. But he was the greatest yogi. So he lived, although he lived in a great palace, he was always chanting, hearing, talking about, and meditating upon Krishna. Therefore, his life was not wasted. So Manu was living in a capital of the city. So it's called Barhishmati, the capital city where Svayambhuva Manu was living. And so the city was called Barhishmati. So Brahmavarta was the place, and the city was called Barhishmati. And it's a very special, it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a very special place. It was exalted, not because the city was very rich in wealth and opulence, but because when Lord Varaha had shaken his body, some of his hair had fallen there and transformed into kusha and kasha grass. So it's a very special place. So it is mentioned that his palace, Manu's palace, was filled with an atmosphere that eradicated the threefold miseries of material existence. And the emperor lived there. He enjoyed life along with his wife and subjects without violating the principles of religion. And every morning, celestial musicians would come and would sing the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so Svayambhuva Manu and his wife, they would listen with a loving heart to this beautiful pastime. So although Svayambhuva Manu was apparently absorbed in royal material happiness, the emperor could not be degraded because he was always enjoying life in a Krishna conscious atmosphere. So as we mentioned, he would listen, chant, contemplate, hear the glorious pastimes of the Lord. And so after his long duration of life, consisting of 71 yuga cycles, he and his wife went back to Godhead after quitting the material body. So they're great souls who went to the eternal abode of Krishna. So what happened is, so we mentioned Srimad Bhagavatam 8:17 mentions that Svayambhuva Manu, the husband of Shatarupa, was by nature not at all attached to enjoyment of the senses. Thus he gave up his kingdom of sense enjoyment and entered the forest with his wife to practice austerities. So Svayambhuva Manu, he gave up his kingdom towards the end of his life, and he went to a forest on the shore of the river Sunanda, along with his wife Shatarupa. So this is like taking vanaprashta, where at the end of your life you give up all your household activities and just focus on serving the Supreme Lord. So there, on the shore of the river Sunanda, along with his wife Shatarupa, Svayambhuva Manu performed great austerities for 100 years. He would stand upon only one leg, it is mentioned, and while doing so, he offered the following prayers. Although the Supreme Lord constantly watches the activities of the world, no one sees him. Still, one should not conclude that because no one sees the Lord, he therefore does not exist. So Svayambhuva Manu was offering prayers, and we can learn a lot from his beautiful prayers. He continues, everyone should worship the Paramatma who always stays within the heart of the individual soul, for he is his well-wishing friend. Because the Lord has created this cosmic manifestation by his external energy, one may think that the universe has been created, maintained, and annihilated directly by him. The fact is, however, that the Lord remains forever within his spiritual energy and is untouched by the activities of the material energy. The devotees who follow in the footsteps of the Lord are also not entangled by the modes of material nature. In spite of acting in various ways as the supreme teacher of human society, the Lord inaugurates the real path of religion, while simultaneously enacting his own pastimes. Therefore, everyone should become his follower to become free from the bondage of material existence. So while Svayambhuva Manu was in a trance chanting these verses, the Rakshasas and the Asuras, being very hungry, rushed at him in the hopes of eating him. The Supreme Lord, who had appeared as Yagnapati, the son of Ruchi and Akuti, observed this. Accompanied by his sons, who were called the Yamas, as well as the other demigods, Lord Yagna immediately appeared upon the scene and killed all the Rakshasas and demons. So we can see thereafter Lord Yagna took the post of Indra and began ruling the heavenly kingdom. So what happens is, so sometimes it is mentioned that the Lord sometimes himself becomes Brahma, for example, when there is no qualified living entity to assume the post. Sometimes the Lord will take the post of Manu, Indra, or other important demigods when there is no qualified living entity to do the job. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:3-12. So during the period of Svayambhuva Manu, there was no living being who could occupy the post of Indra, the king of Indralok. So the Lord at that time, he became Indra, and assisted by his own sons like Yama and other demigods, Lord Yagya, he ruled the administration of the universal affairs. So that's what is mentioned there. So we can see how the Supreme Lord protected his devotee from being eaten. So Krishna always protects his devotees, and even in the Bhagavad Gita he mentions, declare it boldly, O Arjuna, my devotee never perishes. So there is an incident where Svayambhuva Manu gave some more instructions. This time he instructed Dhruva Maharaj. So let's take a look at this pastime here where he instructed Dhruva Maharaj. So Dhruva, now for those of you who are not familiar with Dhruva Maharaj, he's an exalted devotee of the Lord. As we can see in the first slide, he is the son of King Uttanapad, whose father was Svayambhuva Manu. Therefore, Dhruva, who is the son of King Uttanapad, he's related to Svayambhuva Manu as the grandson. So Svayambhuva Manu was the grandfather of Dhruva. Now Dhruva, as we were saying, he was an exalted devotee of the Lord, and he had a brother called Uttama. So Uttama was the son of one of the wives of Uttanapad. So from this picture we can see that King Uttanapad had two wives, Suniti and Suruchi, and so Uttama was like the stepbrother of Dhruva. So one day Dhruva's younger brother, who was not yet married, was killed by a powerful yaksha. So a yaksha is a living entity on a different material planet. As Dhruva's younger brother was hunting in the Himalayas, he was killed by this living entity called the yaksha. And so yakshas basically are ghostly persons. They are followers of Lord Shiva and Lord Shiva's brother Kuvera, who is the treasurer of the demigods. So the yakshas, the leader is Kuvera. So one of the yakshas killed him, and so his mother, Dhruva's mother, Suruchi, also died soon after while she was searching for her missing son. When Dhruva heard this unpalatable news, he became overwhelmed with anger and grief. So he mounted his chariot and he started for Alakapuri, which is the capital of the yakshas. And he found the city nestled in a Himalayan valley, and it was filled with the ghostly followers of Lord Shiva. So upon reaching Alakapuri, he blew his mighty conch shell so that a terrible sound reverberated in all directions, striking fear into the hearts of the wives of the yakshas. So the yakshas rushed out from their city with upraised weapons to attack him, being unable to tolerate the sound of Dhruva's conch shell. Now Dhruva was an expert charioteer, and he began killing the yakshas in great numbers while releasing 3 arrows at a time. So the yaksha warriors, they could understand that their defeat was surely at hand, but in spite of this, they applauded Dhruva's heroic fighting. Each of the 130,000 yaksha soldiers began angrily releasing 6 arrows at a time, along with innumerable clubs, swords, tridents, and lances. As a result, Dhruva became covered by showers of weapons, just as a mountain is sometimes shrouded by torrents of rain. So there was this great war, and there was a lot of strategies utilized by the yakshas. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam describes all this horrendous scene, how there were torrents of rain mixed with blood, headless trunks falling, and showers of hailstones, lances, clubs, swords, and chunks of rocks, huge serpents with furious eyes rushing to devour Dhruva while vomiting blood, rampaging herds of mad elephants, lions, and tigers. So a lot of illusory powers were being utilized by the yakshas, because yakshas are superior to humans. But the Supreme Lord sent some great sages to Dhruva to assure Dhruva that he would be able to cross over this danger by the grace of the Lord. The sages said, "O Dhruva, may the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who relieves the distresses of his devotees, help you kill your enemies. The holy name of the Lord is as powerful as the Lord himself. Therefore, simply by chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord, the devotees come under his protection." And so Dhruva performed achaman by touching water, and he took out a very special arrow that had been created by Narayan Rishi. And he dispelled all the yakshas' illusions. So the war continues, and so coming to the bit where Svayambhuva Manu advises his grandson Dhruva. So here it is mentioned that when Svayambhuva Manu saw how Dhruva was killing so many innocent yakshas, he came there and he said, "My dear son, please stop fighting, for such excessive anger is the path to hellish life. You have already demonstrated your great affection for your brother, and so now you should consider how, for one yaksha's offense, you are killing so many others who are faultless. Such unnecessary killing does not befit our family, which is supposed to know the distinction between religion and irreligion." So here we can hear the instructions now of Svayambhuva Manu from Srimad Bhagavatam, so we can follow in them. So Svayambhuva Manu goes on to say, "As a pure devotee of the Lord, your life is meant for exemplary behavior. Therefore, I am surprised that you've undertaken such an abominable task. The Lord is very pleased when his devotee greets other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality." When Svayambhuva Manu saw that Dhruva was still dissatisfied because of his brother's death, in spite of being an enlightened devotee, he continued, "My dear son, everything in this material world is a creation of the 5 principal elements. Under the direction of the Supreme Lord, the free modes of material nature create, maintain, and annihilate everything. And thus the Lord is the ultimate cause. In this way, the Lord is the killer of everyone, and yet he is not the killer, because he neutrally awards everyone the results of their fruitive activities. Whatever suffering or happiness one meets with in material life is the result of his own karma. My dear Dhruv, these yakshas are not actually the killers of your brother, for everyone's birth and death is ordained by the Supreme. Therefore, please draw your attention to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and see how the material conception of differentiation, the conception of I and mine, is only illusory and temporary. My dear Dhruva, by killing so many yakshas, you have agitated Kuvera's mind, and he is Lord Shiva's brother. You should thus immediately pacify him with gentle words and prayers, so that his wrath may not affect our family." So these are very, very important instructions here by Svayambhuva Manu. He's basically saying that in our lives, whenever there are obstacles, we should not be blaming others and thinking of them as our enemy, because This is our own results from our own activities, our sinful activities, and so we're having to suffer. So as I mentioned in the previous video on the dog versus the lion mentality, so we should be adopting the mentality of the lion. So the analogy is that if a man is standing with a bone and throwing it at the dog will only see the bone, the big juicy bone. He won't see who is throwing it. He will try to catch the bone and begin enjoying it. But if a man throws a bone to a lion, the lion will not see the bone. The lion will eye the human, the person throwing the bone. Because for the lion, the bone, well, what is the bone? It's better to have the juicy human. So the lion will not see the bone, he will rather see the person throwing the bone. So that's different perceptions, same situation, but different perceptions. So we should be like the lion, and when there are reversals here, which is compared to the bone, we should not be so immersed, absorbed in this difficulty, in the reversal. We should see who is tossing this at us, who is in actuality putting us in awkward situations, in these difficult situations. We should see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so like the human being who was tossing the bone. So in the same way, Svayambhuva Manu is explaining to Dhruva that he should not be considering the Yakshas as the killer of his brother. And so after instructing Dhruva and receiving his obeisances, Svayambhuva Manu and the sages returned to their respective abodes. And so when Kuvera learned that Dhruva's anger had subsided and that he had stopped killing the Yakshas, he went to the scene of battle. While being worshipped by the Yakshas, Kinnaras and Charanas, Kuvera addressed Dhruva, who stood before him with folded hands. So Kuvera said, "O sinless one, I am very glad that under instruction from your grandfather, you have given up your enmity, for to do so is very difficult. Actually, you have not killed the Yakshas, nor have they killed your brother, for the ultimate cause of creation and annihilation is the eternal time feature of the Supreme Lord. Now I request you to ask me for a benediction without hesitation, since you are constantly engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the most worthy recipient of all kinds of benedictions." And so here we're seeing Dhruva, the grandson of Svayambhuva Manu, how exalted he is. He says, "My dear Lord of Wealth, may I always have unflinching faith in constant remembrance of the Supreme Lord. In this way I will very easily be able to cross over the ocean of nations, a feat that is very difficult for others to accomplish." So Kuvera was very pleased that Dhruva did not ask for any material benefit, so he awarded this benediction with great happiness. And so after doing so, Kuvera disappeared from the spot, and Dhruva also departed for home. So this beautiful katha goes on in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but we'll stop here because we're dealing with Svayambhuva Manu. So Svayambhuva Manu, so what instructions, what can we learn from Svayambhuva Manu? So we heard a few things. We heard the instructions about karma and how nobody is the enemy. So let us take Svayambhuva Manu's instructions seriously. So we know he said we should not become unnecessarily angry, for example, because it's the path to hellish life. And we know in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says the three gates to hell: lust, anger, and greed. So we should learn to control these. And also we understand that we should not accept the body as the self, as he said to Dhruva. So if we understand that we're not the body, and therefore we should not be killing the bodies of others, we should not be engaging in sinful activities, we should not be eating meat and fish and killing innocent living entities, because we're all the soul, we're the spirit soul, and the spirit soul in each and every living being is part and parcel of the Supreme Person, Krishna. So there's a nice analogy about the fire and the sparks. So sparks that may come from a fire. Imagine there's a chimney, there's a fireplace, and we have a lovely fire with crackling wood. So there may be some sparks that will fall out, but the sparks, they're just a tiny quantity of the fire. The fire is big, it's very hot, and it's very bright. The sparks are tiny bits of the fire. So we're all we're all like sparks of the fire. So we should respect each and every living being, and not harm others and cause distress or kill others. And also remember, the Lord is very satisfied with his devotee when the devotee treats other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. And also, what did Svayambhuva Manu say? He says we should satisfy the Supreme Personality of God during our lifetime, so we can become liberated from the gross and subtle material conditions. So we don't want to take birth again and again, accept different bodies. We want to be freed and go back to the eternal kingdom of the Lord, where there is only happiness and no old age, disease, and death. So then, being freed from all material modes of nature that govern this material world, we will achieve unlimited spiritual bliss. And we know the Supreme Lord is time, his feature of eternal time. So all devouring time, which cannot be controlled by anyone, is actually the energy of Krishna. Even the atheists who claim there is no God and they're not under control of any God, even they have to submit to the form, the energy time. So we cannot buy time that is past. It's the very powerful energy of the Lord. So the Supreme Lord is present in this material world in his feature of eternal time. And he is neutral towards anyone. He is not biased towards certain category of living beings. No one is his enemy, no one is his ally. And with time, everyone enjoys or suffers the result of his own karma of fruitive activities. As when the wind blows, small particles of dust fly in the air, so according to one's particular karma, one suffers or enjoys material life. So the suffering is inevitable, but if we surrender to the Supreme Lord Krishna, he gives us strength to overcome these obstacles. He minimizes our karma so we don't have to suffer as much as we would have if he hadn't minimized it. So devotees of the Lord, as opposed to non-devotees, they are also suffering, but it's mitigated. The suffering is like a blessing, because it brings living entities closer to the Supreme Lord. In a state of utter despair, helplessness, the devotee surrenders completely to the Supreme Lord, understanding that there is nothing in this material world to enjoy. Everything is temporary. It is not real happiness, because it does not give our satiation. It's just temporary. So devotees know this, and they derive a lot of happiness by worshipping the beautiful Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is eternal, who is Satchit Ananda. He's full of happiness, full of bliss, full of eternity, and truthful, full of truth. And by so doing, everyone can be very happy in this world. And we know that this beautiful form of the Lord here, playing his flute, who is Krishna, appeared actually not too far ago, not too far back in time, 500 years ago. He appeared in a golden complexion as Lord Chaitanya to teach us how to surrender, how to chant a very potent Maha Mantra and go and attain all perfection and go back to his spiritual abode. And this Maha Mantra is a mantra that anyone can chant without any qualification. It's the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and so everyone is encouraged to chant this mantra, which will purify the heart and revive our dormant consciousness of Krishna, our dormant love for Krishna, which will give us understanding that we're the spirit soul, that we're not the body. So this Maha Mantra is very easy to chant. It goes like this: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So let us all chant and be happy, as Prabhupada says. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.